And it's that time to talk Canes here with Cam Underwood from State of the U. A very enjoyable time for most of you, as you have stated many times. So let's spread the wealth, get out there and let people know that we're here every Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, to talk Miami football with you, as, of course, Alabama is the target in Atlanta a couple of weeks from now on September 4th. Cam, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Hanging out on my birthday vacation. Finally crossed the Vanguard, turned 40 on Tuesday. So been just enjoying my time off from the secret day job, use it or lose it situation. So I said, well, I'm going to take a week from my birthday. So just doing that. So appreciate all the well wishes that people were throwing me on social media and everything. So really just been enjoying that. Been hanging out here in Fort Lauderdale, doing a couple of things that I want to do, and just investing my time into myself because I have plenty of time and nothing to do. So, yeah.
Well, I will say, Cam, happy birthday, happy belated birthday. I apologize that I did not jump on it. I knew that it was coming. I knew that we had talked based on our schedule and various arrangements and trips that you were taking and festivities, that it was around this time. I was unaware that Tuesday was the day. So, yes, happy for a very special birthday in particular.
Exactly.
Wow.
So
you'll have to tell me how it feels. So when I get there,
exactly, when you get there, I'll blaze the way for you to have your experience. No, it definitely does feel different to me a little bit, and everything. So nothing super crazy, but no, I'm definitely enjoying myself and treating myself to some things that I wanted for myself, because if you can't, love yourself and take care of yourself, then who will? So I've been doing that. Took myself out to a very nice dinner. Just bought some shoes that I wanted. Going to catch up with a couple of my other friends actually tomorrow night, because my other buddy from Miami that we were roommates together, his birthday's on Sunday. So we're born 5 days apart, same year. So he's also joining the 40 Club on Sunday. So we're going to have dinner tomorrow or Saturday. Things like that. So, it's been pretty good. I can't complain, man. Blessed and highly favored.
You have always had that attitude, at least as long as I've known you, and I'm sure it predates that many, many years of that live life to its fullest, take everything head on, jovial spirit. Let's make the most of every situation and opportunity. So embrace life. I'm sure it's just a number.
Yeah. But it does feel a little different, when you change the decade and, the first digit numeral. But no, like I said, I'm very appreciative. Thank you so much for the well wishes. And then let's, just continue to have a party.
I know that when I hit 30, that as long as I could put a 2 and then blank, whether that was 28, 29 in front of the age, I felt as though that was still felt young to me. 20, whatever, fill in the blank. Yeah. And once it hit 30, it had that probably hit me harder than any other age milestone.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I share that thought. I'm only 2 days into 40. So I don't know if I'm going to feel a little bit differently a little bit later on, but similar.
All right. Leave your comments and questions, debate topics for Cam and myself here as we, again, steamroll toward a date with the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Unfortunately, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this, but Cam has reported on this, so you can head on over to State of the U to dive into more of the details concerning the arrest and the charges placed against Rashaan Jones concerning the 2006 death of Brian Pata.
Well, we're going to call it what it is. It's a murder, because it is not like he just dropped dead from old age or something. Brian Pata was a 22-year-old senior at the University of Miami, was shot dead in cold blood outside of his apartment building in Miami on a Tuesday, November the 7th, I believe it was. And there had not been an arrest in the intervening time, and that was in 2006, so 15 years coming up. In the intervening time, there had not been any arrests. There was lots of rumor and conjecture. There had been interviews and things like that. I've seen message board things that people thought that it was Rashaan Jones and had surmised as much. Potter was dating Rashaan Jones's ex-girlfriend at the time, and that was rumored, I will say, to be part of what the scenario was, or what the beef between the two teammates was, and everything. But for a long time, it was a cold case. My boy AP Dirty Bird used to write for State of the U, and he hopped on in 2012 to write a 6-year retrospective about forgetting about Brian Potter, and everything. And to that time, there were like 5,000 unsolved murders in Miami-Dade County in the 6 years time between the murder and when Aaron wrote that. And then you continue that forward on, and there had just been, it was a cold case that had not ever gone away. It's a thing that lots of people have been interested in. The detectives in the Miami-Dade Homicide Department have been working on it, trying to source leads and things like that. And, it finally came to pass that, they got the information that they needed to move forward with charging and arresting Rashaan Jones for the murder of Brian Potter. So, they even put up a tweet with a video from one of the lead detectives in the homicide department stating as much, that, they sourced the information, they're comfortable with the information, they have gotten the warrant, they have effected the warrant, they have arrested this man in Marion County, which is in Central Florida. They're going to extradite him down to Miami-Dade, all things like that. And so this is not a joyous occasion, because we already have a young man who's lost his life on, for no reason. Many, many years ago. What it is hopefully a little the final part of closure beginning for the Potter family. Brian's brother, Ed, is an assistant coach, off-field assistant for the University of Miami Hurricanes, Ed Potter. So, and he switched his profile picture today to a picture of Brian with, I think it's his high school or college diploma. I think it was college diploma standing there. It didn't even say anything, because, that's his brother, So it is not a joyous occasion. I don't take any joy in this, but I am pleased for the situation to be coming to a conclusion. I have seen other, fan bases saying, "Oh, they can't talk about this player or that player who's done a malfeasant thing that's, that once wore our jersey." If that's your concern at this point, then respectfully go to hell. Like, get a life, grow up, whatever it is. But I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, well, like, this is larger than sport. This is literal life and death." And if the only thing that you can do is say, "Oh, well, you can't talk about blah, 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 blah," go to hell. It's not about any of that. So it really is, again, it's a melancholy day, obviously, because with the arrest, you had to remember what the situation is, that there was a life that was lost already. And in the piece, I put up there, there's the pictures of the Canes team kneeling and praying at the next home game after Brian Potter lost his life. And front row on the left of the picture is Rashaan Jones in his number 38 jersey. So if this is completely proven true and everything, you're talking a couple weeks after you done killed this man dead, and then you're going through the motions of pretending to mourn his death there with everybody else in the program on the field. And the picture's up on State of the U. It's up everywhere that you've seen on social media. They have the painting, and they're in the semicircle, and so it's front right of the picture, but it's front left as you're looking at it. Number 38 is right there. And from what has been reported through the Miami Herald and from the criminal justice system, this is the guy who did it. Like, he's the guy who killed Brian, and he's right there. It boils my blood to think. But yeah, like I said, it is not anybody's celebratory occasion because we do still need to mourn the loss of Brian Potter. But glad to see that the situation is finding some closure after 15 years. And when that hit the timeline today, like, I and so many other people were like, "Oh, I never thought I would see the day," because what would lead you to believe after all this time that randomly, now it was probably, somebody close to the situation, but they said that they finally got whatever it was, the piece of information to connect everything firmly, and, not to make light of it or anything, but if you, think back to Training Day, what Denzel Washington's character said, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court. And I know so many people were like, oh, well, we knew it. And then the people were saying that if you can't prove it, then like, you know what I mean? But they finally got that information. So glad for the memory of Brian Potter, glad for the peace for that family. And then again, if this is the gentleman who actually did that, then I hope that he gets everything that's coming to him.
Well said on all fronts. Yeah, once a heinous crime has been committed like that, nothing's going to make amends for it. But you want justice to be served, regardless of who it is. You want justice to be served. That's the only thing that can be done at this point. That is right, because there's all the rest of it's all wrong. A young man losing his life at that age. And I've been staring at this picture that you noted that you posted on State of the U, and that is if that's the truth, then that is cold-blooded.
Yeah. So, but yeah, rest in peace to Brian Potter. That should be the main idea.
Thank you, everyone, for the super chats coming in. Falconer X, we can always count on you. Thank you so much for your support. Appreciate that so much. Couple different times there out of you, so I will get those reposted. Thank you so much. Nobody with really any specific questions or whatever on the super chats, but just need to run through these, of course, to acknowledge and recognize all of you and your support. Corey, thank you. Just had to support the Cam movement.
Let's go.
Appreciate that. And again, Falconer X on 2 occasions, and there he is. Yes.
Leo, man, King of the Jungle. Don't Virgo me. That's my cousin who's the 31st. No. Come on, I got this fire sign energy. Leo all day, every day. Let's go, man.
Okay. Who else do we have here? Do we have any questions out of these people? Anything? Let's so since last Thursday, so we've got 7 days and probably at least five training camp sessions in the books since. Any new information, any new insights into where we stand? I've heard some possible negatives on the injury front.
Yeah, have been managing some injuries, some dings. I mean, that's just going to happen with a collision sport, such as football. So you're going to have some of that. So having some guys rotate out a little bit, kind of that Kawhi Leonard load management kind of a thing. Why have all your running backs go full bore every single day? Why have Mike Harley, who's a dynamic wide receiver and one of the foundations of your passing game, why have him go 100% every day now around my birthday? You know what I mean? Because like August 17th, August 19th is not the goal. You know what I mean? So you're trying to work through some of those things. The one that's actually kind of starting to come from the background to the foreground for me is Zion Nelson. The starting left tackle has not been practicing recently. Even today, thank you, Chris Gons. Even today, the assembled beat writers who were there on campus for this evening's practice saying that Zion Nelson's not out there. And that's a problem. I think that Miami does have additional depth along the offensive line as opposed to previous years, but having your starting left tackle there is key to that depth. It's not just having 8 guys, it's having specific guys and that position specifically as well. So that's one that's like, it's that's starting to come into focus for me. It needs to, hopefully, this is just a management thing where they're saying, cool, we'd rather be cautious now as opposed to later, and hold him out now as opposed to have something that lingers through the season. But that's one that I'm really looking at. The other people rotating in and out, Tyreek Austin Cave for a day or two, your Don Chaney Jr.'s, your Cam Harris's, your they haven't even done it, but like even if you shut Derek King down for a day or two, those things. But this has been ongoing. So that's the one that's really, really kind of starting to stick out like a sore thumb to me. Interested to see what the movement at wide receiver is going to be after the first scrimmage. They're talking about giving some of the young guys more opportunities. up with the first and second team because they're just torching the third team. So, your Romello Brinsons, your Jacoby Georges of the world, Rashard Smith, this year's recruiting class, those guys are moving up. So it's like, okay, we know what they can do against the guys who are not going to play. So let's see what they can do against guys who are going to find rotation snaps. So there's some of that. Like I said, you did hold Mike Harley out. Xavier Restrepo continues to do numbers in every single scrimmage. I want to know if he's going to be a primetime player or if he's going to be that 4A player like Mike Hessman that I talked about some time ago. I think that he's trending towards being a primetime player, a player who can make plays on, Saturdays for the Canes as a second-year freshman, and hopefully he's going in that direction and everything. Yeah, I want to see also just consistency and health at defensive end. DeAndre Johnson's missed some time. The transfer from Tennessee, that one that's over Mark's head right there, the T helmet. The Chance Williams, who's the record holder for squats, I believe, at defensive end in Miami Hurricanes training history. He is working his way back, has missed a couple days as well. So really just looking there. Otherwise, I don't think that we're in a bad spot in terms of health. But I would rather them be cautious now so that they can be aggressive with the playing time for those players later. But yeah, again, the Zion Nelson one, that's the one that's really like starting to get just a touch uncomfortable.
Is everyone happy now? There we go.
I was just mentioning it because I said Tennessee transfer and I saw the Tennessee over there. Like I wasn't.
No, that was perfect. That was perfect. I am surprised that there were no complaints, considering who was up there. It's about as bad as it can get for Miami fans. They had Florida State and Ohio State. Let's get through this because the questions and the comments are piling up. So we need to go through some administrative spots here. First of all, let's help out Paul here. He wants to know how he can donate. Thank you for that, Paul. So there should be a little $sign at the bottom of the live chat that you just click on that $sign. You can make a comment, ask a question, and then also fill in the amount. We appreciate that. You can also go to Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App, search Mark Rogers TV. I would just ask that you would put in Cam, Miami Show, whatever the designation is, just to, again, designate that you're contributing to this specific show. And for some of you that understand the inner workings of YouTube, that is a good way to go as well for certain reasons in terms of filtering a portion. Okay. All right. C. John has asked this. He copies and pastes this like 18 times. So we have addressed this a number of times, C. John, but of course we understand that not all of you can watch every show. Is it realistic to expect Bryce Young to struggle since he's in his first game, meaning first start, or is he good enough to step in day one and be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation? Cam certainly addressed this, and I gave my thoughts last week. Again, we can address it again. I'll let you go, Cam.
Yeah, I mean, just the long story short is I think it's reasonable for both. He's a very talented player, and I think he can make some very talented plays, but he's also a young player with minimal experience at the college level. Obviously, he did get some game reps last year because Alabama was blowing people out. So it's not his first time on the field, but there will probably be some things that he hasn't seen before. So there might be some negative plays as well. But he's a very talented player. Had I'm not going to go over the numbers and look it up like I did last week, but something like 17,000 total yards in high school or something, like just something stupid. Actually, it was probably more than that because it was like 14,000 passing and it was somewhere in the 18,000 yards of total offense in high school at Mater Dei in Santa Ana, which is just that's a program where, you win the starting quarterback job, you go to USC, you get challenge for or win a Heisman and are a first round draft pick. Obviously, he deviated from the go to USC part, but very talented player. So he can run, he can throw. He's 5'11", 195 pounds, has a live arm, obviously, and he has a wealth of receivers to throw to. He has great running backs to hand to, and a massive offensive line standing in front of him. So again, yeah, it does stand to reason that he's going to make some plays. But since this is his first full-time starting action, and hopefully Manny Diaz has something special dialed up, it would not surprise me to see that he had some negative plays as well. So I don't necessarily think that he's going to throw a perfect game out there or anything, but he is definitely a very talented player. He's far and away the most talented quarterback on their roster, and he's someone who can impact the game for them. So I would want to be ready for that, even if it is a lot of projection at this point. You don't necessarily say, okay, this is insert fifth year seat. This isn't Trevor Lawrence, right? Hey, we've seen him do this for year after year. This isn't da-da-da-da. It's not like that. But I'm also not going to discount his ability because I've literally seen the movies. Like, go look up the huddle. Go look up the time, the huddle highlights and the stuff that he did even in limited time last year. This is a talented player, and we should, respect that.
I'll boil mine down to something that I stated last week. Nick Saban named him the starting quarterback before spring practice. And that just doesn't happen on a regular basis. Think of all the starting quarterbacks throughout Nick Saban's tenure at Alabama that had to earn the job. The likes of Jacob Coker and Blake Sims and all the guys, Tua even versus Jalen Hurts. All of that were battles that ensued through spring practice into the summer. For him just to know this guy's the starter, that speaks volumes to me. Okay. We appreciate, Antonio, you prompting everyone to hit the like button. My apologies. Ramon would like any updates on recruiting that you've got.
Jaleel Skinner, the number one tight end in America, has Miami in his top 5. He's going to commit somewhere. I didn't say to Miami, somewhere. October the 9th, the day after his birthday, which I believe is a bye week for IMG Academy, which is where when he'll be able to get home to South Carolina, because IMG is very strict on their scheduling and what they allow players to do. There might be a conversation to be had there about where IMG does and does not allow people to take visits, but I'm going to reserve that for another time when I delve into it a little bit more. But anyway, he's going to commit somewhere October the 9th. It's an interesting situation. He said that Florida State is his dream school, but again, if he's 18 now, they won a championship when he was 10. Florida State did. So we'll see. People say dream school all the time and don't necessarily go there. Other usual suspects are there: Miami, Alabama, things like that. Clemson, even. He's not going to take an official visit to Clemson, but he's from South Carolina and will probably get up the road to see them one time this year. And Clemson, since he's from South Carolina, they don't necessarily need an official visit, which, the luxury, right? So he's being recruited a couple places, like Florida State. They're saying that they want him as a large wide receiver at 6'5", 210 with a frame that could grow. Miami, otherwise, is saying, no, we want you to be what you are, which is the number one tight end in America and one of the next great ones to come down here and continue that lineage at the University of Miami. And Alabama's just Alabama, so duh. So there's like that. Otherwise, most of the guys that we're recruiting seem like they're waiting in or through their senior seasons at this point to make a decision. Shouldn't be too much movement, I don't think, in the near future, just because a lot of guys are talking about already, because it's, again, the end of August, the 20th is tomorrow, where you're talking about, we're going to look towards senior year, looking then towards early signing in December and things like that. So there's going to be lots of contact behind the scenes, but we'll start to see what the calendar of official visits is going to look like through the fall season and everything like that. So nothing imminent this week. It's not like a couple weeks ago when I was just like, hey, Traquan Fagans is committing on Friday. Hey, there's nothing like that. I don't think that's on the horizon. If there is somebody that pops really, really soon, that would be a little bit of a surprise, but a welcome surprise if they chose the University of Miami.
Corey's back at it on the super chat. Appreciate that, Corey. August 14th, Corey's birthday. Happy birthday, Corey. Belated birthday. I had to support the Cam Leo move as well.
That's right.
Ronan. Now, here's the deal with Ronan. Ronan is one of our core supporters here on the Miami channel, and Cam's show in particular. Now, Ronan has let me know that while he's been somewhat absent, he's not been absent. He just is not able to catch the live show because of work schedules and so forth, but he catches everything. So, Ronan, thank you so much. Keep up the great work, gentlemen. Hopefully today's events can bring some closure to the Pata family. Rest in peace, Brian. Go Canes. Absolutely. And then we've got Unicane 1. This is for Cam. Okay, 2 shows ago, I believe Cam was running down the 2012 recruiting class and basically saying we picked up all these scrubs of sorts, didn't contribute anything. These aren't the kind of guys that we should be signing. Here's a list of them. What did these guys ever do? Here's the challenge. Here's the homework. Something. Antonio Crawford did have a game-winning INT versus Wake Forest.
That is correct. That is the one. And there were a couple other people who hit us up on Twitter in the days after that show and said, no, that's the play. But that also proves my point that I gave you 17 players from the 2012 recruiting class, that show a couple weeks ago, and dared and defied you to find a play that they made. And then we found a singular play that was memorable, or that cadre of players provided to the Miami Hurricanes football program. Out of all the things they did, there's a singular play that you can look at. That is true, first of all. So yes, Kane won, and everybody else who hit me up on Twitter. I'm not going to go back through my mentions because I was arguing with somebody about them picking floor. I was arguing with a journalist friend of mine today on the timeline, and lots of people were in the mentions. So I'm not going to go back. But to everybody who hit me up, including this one, and said the Antonio Crawford interception is the play to list from the again, I'm not talking about Tracy Howard. I'm not talking about Duke Johnson. No. I'm talking about the rest of the Jags, just the guys in that class. That's the play. You are correct. But that homework assignment then also proves the point that 17 dudes collectively made a singular play worth memory, or worth remembering. There we go. Which is piss poor. But yeah.
Now, the follow-up question I have to that is, obviously we know a play in football is not just a play. You can see what it results in the box score versus what was the actual play. Not every touchdown pass is created equal, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got an interception where there was a play made on the ball versus I'm playing safety and the ball got tipped in the air and just kind of like was a gift in my lap. Do we recall this play and what it looked like?
Yeah, I think that they were trying to go up the sideline in overtime to score, to win. And he might have been playing like either in phase or slightly trail technique and jumped up to catch it. I believe it was as you're watching it on the screen, I think it was the near sideline. I'm pretty sure. Like I looked it up when the first person hit me up with it, and I haven't looked at it since. But yeah, it was like he made a play and caught the interception, and we won the game. And I mean, that was great. So, but yeah, that was like the play from that group, that large group of the 2012 recruiting class.
Hummus Hero commending me for my work today with a third live stream. Listen to this, Hummus Hero. 2 weeks from tonight, I will be culminating 24 consecutive hours live.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I am going to cheat. There's no way I can sit here for 24 straight hours or carry around a laptop everywhere and stay awake for 24 hours first and foremost. But I will be up for most of it, and I will fill in the other hour or two here and there where I take a nap with other anchors. But the opening Thursday night of the college football season, sure, there are going to be games on week 0, but we're fast forwarding to week 1. So there are Thursday night games. So it was my thought that at different times I attempted to do this or thought about doing it, but I have committed myself to it. It's on record. I've guaranteed it. So there are games on Thursday night. We figure we'll wrap up the post game around 2 a.m. So rewind 24 hours, 2 a.m. Wednesday night going into Thursday. I will be signing on at 2 a.m. and then 24 hours, and we'll take you all through the Thursday night games through post game, and then I'll crash.
Wow. Okay.
So we'll see what we can do there, which will include our show here. So anyway, we'll work it out. I might be punch drunk at that point, but Cam does all the work anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right. there were several questions concerning the defensive end position, but not a specific question just in regards to what it looks like, what it should look like. There we go. Dwayne in particular, have you discussed the D ends?
Not really. It's, I have this conversation often, or I've seen it on social media, and I'll chime in. But I'm of the mind that Miami is going to always have a pass rush. You might not know the names, but it's going to work, especially with Jeff Simpson as defensive ends coach or defensive line coach, especially with Manny Diaz back calling defense. So I don't know the names. They're not household names. It's not first-round draft pick. It's not Gregory Rousseau coming off of 15 and a half sacks. It's not Jalen Phillips, the former number 1 overall recruit in America. It's not Quincy Roche, the former AAC reigning defensive player of the year when he came over. It's not Jonathan Garvin. It's not Chad Thomas. It's not that right now. But you do have a wealth of talent. So you have Jafar I. Harvey. You have DeAndre Johnson transferring over. You have Chance Williams, again, who's big, fast, and strong and set the squats record for off-season training. You got those 3 guys at the top of the rotation. You probably add in somebody else. I'm probably forgetting a name right now. Harvey, Williams. I'm forgetting a name. Johnson. I'm forgetting somebody. But you have 4 guys of blue chip caliber. That's where it's going to be. You're probably not going to look much past that this year. And I don't think that you need to. I think that the talent is there to be successful. And the defensive tackle position, which has always been Miami's Achilles heel of trying to get game-ready defensive tackles, is very good. You got John Ford, you got Jared Harrison Hunt, you got Nessa Silvera, you got Leonard Taylor, the 5-star freshman, who's gonna play this year. He's already up with the second team. He's probably gonna be your DT4, but that 4th defensive tackle is gonna play. So get used to seeing number 56 out there. You know what I mean? But so you're talking 3-star former basketball player who, if he dedicated himself to football, would have always been a 4 or 5-star. That's Jared Harrison Hunt. You got a 4-star high school All-American from American Heritage in Nessa Silvera. You got a massive, massive mountain of a man who was a 4-star recruit in John Ford. And then you got a 5-star All-American number 3 overall player in America at defensive tackle. That's going to cure some things as well, because you don't only get pass rush from the outside, right? And as we see before, even by putting Gregory Rousseau inside, you can get pressure up the middle. So having very good defensive tackles is going to help the ends. And again, you have plenty of talent at the ends where you might not know the names. They might not be incoming voted first team All-ACC, first team All-American, but plenty of talent to get the job done. So I, for one, am not concerned about it. I am cautiously, maybe not even cautiously, I'm just optimistic about it. And I'm looking forward to seeing who actually steps up into those roles and gets the sacks that are there, because without the previous guys there, Miami's defense is going to get sacks. Manny Diaz defense is going to create havoc. They're going to get up the field and pressure the quarterback and disrupt plays. It's just going to be a new round, a new set of dudes who are doing that. So I, for one, am not I'm not concerned really about it. I'm just looking forward to seeing who the names are going to be to make those plays. But again, there's so much blue chip talent at that position that it's going to be somebody, if not a couple somebodies, coordinating with the defensive tackles, coordinating with, Manny Diaz brings blitzes from the secondary. So we got cornerbacks, we got safeties, we got strikers, we got linebackers who are going to get up the field as well. Now, yes, there's obviously, it's not going to be perfect. We're not going to be playing NCAA 14 on freshman difficulty or anything like that. But I'm not concerned about the pass rush. We're just looking to see who's going to step into those roles, and I think there's plenty of candidates to do so.
And to extend on your point about the pass rush being undervalued that comes from the middle, everybody, when they think pass rush, thinks your elite defensive ends that can just fly around the tackles and get to the quarterback on the outside. Yes, but if quarterbacks are good enough and the tackle gets just enough of a delay on those defensive ends, any quarterback will tell you, hey, I've got 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, and I can step up in the pocket and deliver. what's happening around me isn't that much of a concern. But you get that consistent push, and it's like right away where the quarterback gets that snap, and suddenly he's got bodies in his face, and he can't see because it's all clogged up in the middle in front of him. Even if he gets the ball away, that can be very effective. Are you thinking of either Thomas Davis, Jabari Ishmael, or, well, those would be the only two defensive ends listed there. They've got most of the Miami defensive line on the official roster listed as just defensive linemen, but those three guys, along with DeAndre Johnson, are listed as DEs.
I'm going to go down the roster really quickly because I know that I'm missing somebody that I think is in that top 4 rotation. Jafari Harvey, I already said. DeAndre Johnson, I already said. I'm into the 30s, which means number 33, Chance Williams, I already said. Who is my number 4? No.
Alan Hay?
No.
He's inside.
No. Oh, of course. Because he didn't play that position. Zach McLeod, the 6th-year senior, coming from linebacker on down. Now, I don't, and I've said this about McLeod, I don't think he's going to be anybody's superstar, but if he can be Trent Harris and just do his job and do his job well, that'll take some snaps, and then that'll help out as well. So, yeah, you add in Zach McLeod with the other 3. And, hey, even if he can do anything extra, that's found money. That's house money. That's when I went to Vegas and gambled 50 cents in a pull slot and I won $400, which actually happened my senior year of spring break. That subsidized my whole trip out there. Well, not the whole trip, but a lot of the fun that I had in Vegas that week or those couple of days. That was not money that I was planning on, and it just made everything more fun. So any positive plays that we're going to get, if we're getting sacks, pressures, things like that out of McLeod from that position, that's house money, and I'm loving it. But then, the Harvey, Johnson, Williams trio, those are the 3 that I'm really looking forward to really impact the pass rush game. And again, like I said, anything extra from Zach McLeod is just bonus.
This story has no connection to that one, but for some reason it triggered something in my memory, and this is one of my favorite betting stories that I have in terms of playing a pool, and that is that we had a player, like a fantasy league pool, just for the NFL playoffs, not during the season, just for the playoffs. So you'd select players during the NFL playoffs, and the catch was, obviously, you could select a great player, but he could only play one playoff game. If they lost, you're out, versus playing a guy all the way through the Super Bowl. So I selected all Philadelphia Eagles and New England Patriots the year that they played in the Super Bowl. So somebody caught that going into the Super Bowl, and this was a massive pool with like 70 people, and they were looking to try to figure out who was going to win this pool. And everybody's looking at the top 3 or 4. Somebody suddenly said, who's going to win this thing? Rodgers is going to win. He's like, what? He's in 19th place. How's he going to win this thing? He selected all Philadelphia Eagles and all New England Patriots. So every play, the entire Super Bowl, I'm just gaining points. And I skyrocketed up and took the pool. So that would be my favorite story, which I know is completely unrelated to throwing in a quarter or 50 cents or whatever and winning 400, but it came to mind.
No, very, very similar. It was funny because I went with some friends of mine. Long story short, we got a roll of $10 a quarters to like ride the bus up and down Las Vegas Boulevard because we were staying at the one end and trying to get whatever. And then we're just like, this is stupid. Like, we're going to, do whatever else we're going to do. And so we had the roll of quarters and we put all the quarters in the machine and I just kept max betting. And it was the last whatever. It might have been 50 cents. It might have been more. I don't know. I just max bet. It was I remember it was the last bet that I had because my buddies were like, okay, cool, we're going to leave, and did it and hit it. And then it was just like, it wasn't like super Ocean's 11, progressional jackpot anything, but like it was substantial. And I was like 21, you know what I mean? Just like in Vegas for 3 days, senior year's college spring break, made enough noise where I was just like, yo, hey, Tom, Zach, Keenan, whoa, hey, this is doing something. And yeah, so that was that. But yeah.
Question coming in from Chris on the suspensions. Now, this is some possible conjecture here. I heard about Jalen Knighton and the linebacker Jennings. Is that true?
I haven't heard anything about it. Haven't asked anything about it. So I can't say anything about it.
Nor have I. Not that I would before Cam, but I'm just saying I I scour the internet and have people float things my way. All right. Got suggestions for North Carolina contributors. Okay, great. Thank you. Quentin Williams going to be a factor at DN2.
Isn't he playing D tackle? I thought Quentin Williams 6'3", 280. No, they moved him inside. Yeah. No, he's gonna play. He's playing D tackle. So I don't think that he's gonna be playing end unless he's like one of the largest ends that we've had. But I didn't say him because he was recruited as a defensive end at 6'3", 245, but he's already up to listed at 280 on the roster. I'm pretty sure the plan is to take him inside. Alvin Kamara, to Ramona K's question, and I know that Alvin Kamara left Alabama. So besides
Tennessee.
No, but he was at Alabama and left. And
did he really play at Alabama? I don't even remember him being at Alabama. To me, he's a Tennessee guy.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I know that he went to Alabama and left. And yes, we're going to call him Tennessee because he really went to Tennessee and he did his really thing at Tennessee. But if we're talking about anybody who was ever on the roster and recruited there and everything like that. So the question was, besides Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, name another running back from Alabama that's good in the NFL. And we have not seen Harris yet. No, again, Alvin Kamara, but he left because he wasn't going to get any burn over there, really. I don't think that there's anybody else recently. You have Sean Alexander, but that's 20 years ago.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sean Alexander was amazing.
Right.
If he's going back to the Saban era.
Wait, I'm sorry. The Josh Jacobs kid out in
well, sure.
With the Raiders or
with
whatever.
The Raiders is tremendous. Yeah.
Right. And he was the outlier because he was the 3-star recruit that found his way into the lineup there. But there goes another one for you.
I was also going to say, you're going back to 2009. Let's consider we're talking about 12 years. You only churn out so many running backs, so there's not going to be a ton of those guys. You're only playing typically one at a time that's getting that type of NFL love. They've got more than that, but it depends what you mean good. TJ Yeldon's a good NFL running back. He's decent. He plays.
Yeah.
Eddie Lacy was good for a few years.
Eddie Lacy was good for a few years. He, like me, likes to eat and got a little bit tubby, like me. So that mitigated some of his effectiveness. But, so Najee Harris is a physical freak, so you're going to add him in there. You got, again, Yeldon, nobody's superstar, but serviceable. Eddie Lacy had a 1,000-yard season, and the Josh Jacobs kid is pretty amazing.
You know who's good, but not necessarily as a running back solely, is Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
He was a running back.
Who's a slash-ish kind of player, slot, running back, whatever, returner and everything. But
they've done fine.
They're all right.
Oh, shoot. I was going to go straight from that to something else. Well, let's pick this off. We appreciate the super chat coming in here from Bobby. Okay, you think this 2021 team is better on both sides of the ball compared to the 2017 10-win team? Note, 10 wins, Notre Dame win, beat a good Virginia Tech team that year, ranked as low as high as number 2 that year.
I think the offense is better. I think the defense is not. And I don't want to be that guy, and I don't need to beat a dead horse. But the offense is better because we have De'Aaron King and not Malik Rozier. I'm sorry, facts are facts, bro. But I think that this offense is better than that of that season. And the defense. Right now, especially because I'm going to say we have some of the questions at defensive end and linebacker that were not seen in 2017. I'm going to say is maybe a step below where that 2017 defense was, at least, coming into the season for sure. We'll see what the performance is, but coming into the season, I'd rank this year's offense as ahead and this year's defense is behind the 2017 team. And again, go back and and I did this recently, and I went through all the good, bad, and uglies that I wrote. I went back and I rewatched some of those games. There was a lot of smoke and mirrors in 2017, man. There was a lot of luck runs out games, and the luck didn't run out until the luck ran out because Pittsburgh basically said 12 is going to have to beat us. And if he can beat us, he can beat us. But other teams tried that, and there was just enough. You know, that game at North Carolina, you come out of the halftime, dial up the double move for Jeff Thomas. You're in the halftime going, you're behind, hit that bomb over the top that finally created some space in the offense to operate. And then, okay, we win. That Georgia Tech game that year, that Florida State game that year, like there were a lot of games in 2017 that were a little closer than were comfortable, or I think they should have been, and everything. So I know that it was a 10-win season. I know but like go back and relive that season, and it was not as smooth a ride as 5 years of history or 4 years removal. Say, oh, it was a 10-win season with 10-2, and it was not as smooth a ride as you might, or 10-1 in the regular season because we had that game that was canceled because of the hurricane. But yeah, it was not as smooth a ride as you remember.
And it's one thing to pull off a high wire act against quality competition, but man, these were just teams that they weren't horrible, but shoot. The Florida State team was extremely talented. They only went 7-6. That's the year they lost DeAndre Francois, went to James Blackman, who was ill prepared. But that game, 24-20. You mentioned the Georgia Tech game. That was the catch down the sideline, right?
That was the catch down the side.
Fourth down.
The week after. On fourth down, tipped, felt Daryl Langham a week after beating Florida State, which broke the streak, which is why the Florida State game was monumental that year, because we had to cross that vanguard, get over that mental hurdle. Then he's on his backside. The ball gets tipped up between him and the defender and mercifully, gracefully falls into his waiting arms. And we ended up kicking a field goal to win that game. That wasn't great.
Yeah. Yeah, you're beating Georgia Tech 25-24 at home. They're 5-6. They're not a very good team. Syracuse, I remember I watched all these games. Syracuse, they weren't good. They were 4-8. Who was the quarterback that they had? I can't remember his name, running around all over the place. I can't remember his name. What's that?
Eric Dungy or something?
Eric Dungy. That sounds right, but maybe it's not quite right. But Eric Dungy. That sounds right. But I thought it would click more, but that might be it. But anyway, 27-19, that was a close game. That was at home against a 4-8 team. Then you mentioned the North Carolina game. Wasn't that like a Thursday night game?
No, that was a Saturday noon game. And I was right. It was Eric Dungy.
Eric Dungy. Yeah. Okay. The two really strong efforts that season obviously were Notre Dame and preceded by Virginia Tech. Those were good teams. Notre Dame was a really good team. Yeah. And you beat them down both, control the game against Virginia Tech, blew out Notre Dame. That was by far the performance of the year. Then the next week, that was touch and go against a marginal Virginia team that went 6-7, where it was like down 21-7, like that kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like
that was another noon game at home.
But if you go back again, so we were already talking about Florida State, but that's a rivalry game, and they were actually decent then. Yeah. But Georgia Tech, Syracuse, North Carolina, Virginia. Like those, weren't great. It was not that 41-8, that magical Saturday night at Hard Rock Stadium against Notre Dame was so incredible. And everybody's going to remember that. The entire season was not that in 2017. That's all I'm saying.
So if you're a 10-2 team playing in the ACC, you're typically like fringe top 10. You might be number 9, number 12. You're something in that range. You should be playing like one of those games a year where sure, you're going to have that 1 week where you're playing like a 4-8 team and they stick around and you make some mistakes, but you shouldn't have like 5 of them.
Exactly. Even if one of them is Florida State. And again, that's a game where you should have blown them out. Had a couple blown coverages, That's when number 20 on defense was not up to the task. He came in, subbed in for somebody injured for Red Wine, blew his assignments. Both times he blew his assignments, the other team scored. You know what I mean? Cam Akers trying to channel his inner Dalvin Cook and win the game by himself, even though he's not that kind of talent. He had a big run that game and everything, but that's a game that Miami should have won convincingly and tried, though they could, to steal defeat from the hands of victory. And I'll give credit where it's due. That last drive, Malik Rozier was on it. He was on it. Oh, boy, that was crazy. But again, such was the experience with 12 at quarterback because it was not consistent to that level. But again, that's what we're talking about. You have 5 of those games that were touch and go against inferior teams. Just calling it like I see it. But again, you're going to see Saturday night, primetime, game day ESPN doubleheader games. Virginia Tech beat them soundly with a ball control game in the second half because just like I'm not going to let 12 lose it for me. And then obliterated and eviscerated Notre Dame the next week in a dirty, dirty style, which was incredible. But you're going to remember those two things because the high notes stick out. I think this segment has shown you that it was less of the high notes and more of the skirting by in 2017 than people want to comfortably remember. That's all I'm saying.
You were breaking down the defense, specifically the pass rush a few minutes ago, and it came to mind. So a Blake James defense versus a Manny Diaz.
Blake James, the athletic director? Blake Baker defense. Sorry. No,
versus a Manny Diaz defense. So you talked about, is it simply a matter of they're going to be more aggressive on defense than they were, or are there any other noticeable differences between the way they approach it?
You could just tell when Manny Diaz is calling the defense versus when he wasn't. It's the name brand versus the great value off-brand discount version. You know what I mean? Like it's Coke versus RC Cola or whatever. It's just not. It's similar but not the same. And I think that some of the innate things that Manny Diaz has, like a feel for, he doesn't always get there, right? But I think he has a great feel for secondary blitzing. I think he has a great feel for when to dial up pressure. I think that we've seen that he, I know that he never played at Alabama. I know. But Manny Diaz, the players play for him in a different way. They just, when things were going wrong, and he was like, I'm going to go over there because the accountability isn't where it needs to be. And you could just see all the players, even that next week, everybody at practice the next day when Manny Diaz was over there full time with the defense, like, hey, this is what it's going to be. If you're going to mess up, you're going to run, you're going to do push-ups, you're going to do whatever it is. But you need to stop playing hero ball because Shaq Quarterman and Mike Pinckney talked about it. They were just trying to make every play. But if you're trying to run out of your zone to make the play, you're actually hurting the structural integrity of the defense, and we saw that. It's just different when you have a master at the craft versus the apprentice, or even just like a regular level operator versus a high level operator. And that's the difference between the defense when Manny Diaz calls it versus when Blake Baker called it. And, I do not fault Manny Diaz for going to Blake Baker when he came here as head coach to say, okay, this is the guy who took over for me at Louisiana Tech. They've been running the same system that I installed there. They've been doing it very well. And they've recruited pretty decently for their level. And in the offing have produced the all-time sack leader in college football in Jalen Ferguson running this defense. So it stands to reason, okay, cool. Now you did it at a small level. We're going to bring you up to the big level and hopefully do the same. And it just was proven that he needs a couple mango seasons and needed to fail to learn how to get it right. But yeah, I think, Manny Diaz, he knows what he wants on defense and he knows how to get it. And I think working with Blake Baker, it was a little bit of Michael Jordan with the Wizards of, okay, just go do this. How do I do that, Mike? I can't. No, just you go do that. Magic Johnson when he coached the Lakers, just go do it. Magic, I'm not a 6'9" point guard, bro. I don't. I can't see everything all around. I don't have all these handles, and I can't just go do innately. So can you give me the direction? I maybe need to step by step. You go here and do this, and go here and do this, and this is how you accomplish this task. And I think that it came to the point where Manny Diaz didn't have the time or ability to give those step by step to Blake Baker. And also, even if it's not necessarily on the line this year, things trending down is bad for Manny Diaz's job security. So he said, I'm just going to take the sticks back and do it myself.
Real quick, K9 University, I appreciate the suggestion for North Carolina football coverage. So leave that somewhere else where I can find it in regards to a comment, to a video, or email me at MarkRogersTV@gmail.com because I'll just lose that comment in this live chat. So, Cam, you are welcome to stick around. We have post-game coming up here at the Voice of College Football after every Miami game. So we would like to introduce you to some of the folks that are going to be providing that again each and every week. Cam, I'll give you the opportunity here, of course, as you have delivered once again for a full hour of great information, content, stories, all of it, to let us know what you got going on at State of the U.
Just a whole lot going downhill towards the opener and the season and everything. I'm actually sending out the season content selection email tonight so we can start to get things going for the guys over there. But the website is stateoftheu.com, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the State of the U. My personal account's at Underwood Sports. Come holler at me like a lot of you guys did with that 2012 Antonio Crawford thing. And that's pretty much it. But I see that the fellas are already online. Just want to say what's up to y'all boys. Doing the thing big. Man, I'm out here chilling. So I'm going to, abdicate the throne. I'm going to get out the way, let y'all get the space and everything. Good to see you guys. Appreciate the hour. I'm going to talk to y'all later. Enjoy the post game. These are the best guys around.
See you, Cam. Appreciate it, man. You know that. We'll see you.
Anytime.
Oh, man, we got Derek here. We got Ross here. How
yes,
you boys
sir.
doing tonight?
What's going on, Mark? How you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. So we got a good group of Canes fans on here. So we want to hype it up in regards to what we got going. Courtesy you two. You guys going to make it happen along with Jordan Nelson this season for some Miami post game. So Derek, let's start with you in regards to where we can find you, what you're all about, where's your handle, and as we get set to hear from you each and every game.
Well, obviously on Twitter, you can find me at CaneFanCo. On IG, it is I put on for my city 74. Obviously, I use that handle like kind of emotionally with that I put on for my city because that 305, it means a lot to me. So, yeah, CaneFanCo on Twitter, and I put on for my city 74 on IG.
So hopefully I got it straight here. You can check my work.
Yep.
Beautiful. That's where you can find Derek. He's going to be helping to host our post-game coverage here at the Voice of College Football. So everyone get locked in because as soon as Alabama and Miami come off the field, we're going to have some great post-game analysis from these guys. Ross, how we doing tonight, man?
We're doing great, Mark. Doing great, man. It's great to finally have everybody here together and on a live stream. I love it.
Yeah, so we got about 180 on the line. So we got a decent crowd for you boys to get some FaceTime, and obviously they can catch both of you on your various platforms and podcasts and everything. So we hope, I guarantee that a lot of these 180 on the line already know about you guys and what you guys have done. So I am excited to have this kind of quality content after the games provided for everyone. So thank you for both responding to my call for some help on Miami postgame. This is going to be tremendous.
Yeah, I think it should be fun. I mean, obviously, like I said in the past, talking with you after the games, it'll probably be a little bit later for me to hop on, but I know Ross and Jordan will be able to hold it down for me because, again, like I've told you, Mark, I'm at the game, so it's hard for me to kind of just pop onto the show. But if Ross and Jordan can lock it in and hold it down till I can finally get the excitement, whether we win or lose down for myself, then I'll be ready to pop back on.
Hey, Ross, I don't have my your Twitter, I should say, in front of me. Can you read that off for me?
Yeah, my Twitter is North Fresh Kane.
There we go. My typing skills are decent enough. We'll get it up there for everyone to see. I think I got it. There we go. So we got Ross, we got Derek here. Man, what do you guys think about Miami this season? What are your thoughts? So before you completely answer that question, Derek, characterize yourself as a Miami fan. Are you the pessimistic Miami fan? You're the optimistic Miami fan? You know, what's your approach to Miami football as a fan?
If I tell you with my heart, I'm definitely not a pessimist. I'm definitely an optimist. I've been going to games since 1991, been a season ticket holder since 1998. I've seen a lot of good Miami teams. I've seen some pretty mediocre teams, and I've seen some bad teams. With me, it doesn't matter. To me, it's all about supporting the kids, the student athletes, and the coaches. You won't see me talk negative on Twitter or bashing anybody. I'm just a fan, right? I'm not coaching. I'm not playing. I'm not doing any of that. My job is to go into the stadium and support and root. So, there's there's too many other people out there that want to bash people, and that won't be me. I just want to keep everything on the positive, good vibes only. And again, our job as fans is supposed to be to encourage, win or lose these kids, So for me, it's just, the utmost respect. I'm thankful that I'm able to even go to these games, and I'm thankful that, I get the opportunity to travel to away games as much as I do. And, looking forward to a great 2021 season.
Now they're coming off a 8-3 season. Mm-hmm. I think that the two games that I wanted to see them play, of course, everybody wanted the Clemson game to be better, but they were clearly at least not on that night in the same class. And I think that's pretty fair to say, but 2020 is over. The North Carolina game was the game I really wanted to see, because if they play 10 times, they're not losing that game by 35 points. But on that particular day, they were completely outclassed by a team that was roughly in that, number 15 range in the country, just like them. Same thing against Oklahoma State. Both teams were missing key players, so you can weigh that out however you want. But, how do you assess this team? They're 14 and they're 16 in the two major preseason polls. Do you think that's about right? Is that what you think they are?
I don't put too much emphasis on preseason rankings because, again, a couple years back in 2018, I think we were ranked number 8 going into Dallas against LSU, and we got beat, right? Like, until you put the work, again, your top 4 teams, whether it's Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, those type of teams, until you are consistently back to being like good year in and year out, preseason rankings don't mean anything to me. You can go into Alabama and get beat by 40, and now you're out of the top 25. So, it's tough to say. I mean, if you go into that game at 14 and you're competitive and, say you lose by 14 points, and I think, then you're at right where you should be. And again, that game does not make or break your season. Again, if you win out, and again, nobody on their schedule scares me until probably the ACC title game. If you get a chance to face Clemson and say you win that game, now you might have a rematch with Alabama in a playoff game. So, I think 14 is a fair assessment, but again, I don't put too much emphasis on preseason rankings.
Ross, what is your take on this team? Are you extremely optimistic? Where do you think they're at?
I'm optimistic, definitely. I think we're pointing in the right direction in a lot of areas that we've struggled at. I'm really, really intrigued and curious to see what this offensive line looks like in year 2 with Garen Justice. I expect the run game, or the run blocking specifically, to get better. That seems to be a trend year 2 in Garen Justice wherever he goes. This is a talented team. There's no doubt about it. We've got a couple question marks. We've pass rush on the outside, things like that. But we've got some veteran leadership in some very important areas, and I'm hoping that can truly start carrying us over. And, like Coach said, outside of our first game and possibly the ACC title game, there's no one that truly scares me. No one that outright scares me.
So who are you excited, Ross, to see on either side of the ball? You can throw out one guy, you can throw out 2 or 3, who maybe got some time last year, whether this is an incoming freshman that we haven't seen yet as a Miami player, or a guy that, got some time, but you think can break out as a big time impact player.
I think it's Will Mallory at tight end. He's on the verge of having a phenomenal season. This is his chance to finally get those true tight end one snaps. What I like about him is when we put him on the field, defenses won't know exactly what we're going to be doing. It's not like we put him out there just for pass catching scenarios or just for running scenarios. He's a little more of a traditional tight end, so he can do a little bit of both. He can block a little bit. Lashley's offense is all about mismatches and taking advantage of stuff. And to me, that's where he really fits into that. He fits into taking advantage of any type of mismatch that we can possibly find on the field.
For you, Derek, who are you excited to see?
First and foremost, obviously you can just go with probably the top choice is Derek King, obviously coming back from an ACL injury on his knee. Everything that we've seen and heard, obviously, he's full go. But to me, it's again, I'll touch on the O-line because I think the O-line is probably the best nucleus that they've had in many, many years as far as the amount of games that have started. So the maturity's there. But again, it's your backfield. I mean, obviously you got 5 strong backs, with Cam, Chaney, Rooster, Thad Franklin, and Cody Brown. So on offense, you can kind of pick your poison. Your receivers are, you're 13 deep in receiver core. How do they get on the field? And on defense, honestly, this probably won't be a popular choice, but I'm anxious to see how Zach McLeod switches from linebacker and puts his hand down in the ground. He's got a phenomenal frame at 6'2.5", give or take, 260, 265. And if he can give us a little bit of what kind of a Greg Rousseau or Jalen Phillips did, because he has the motor and, Jess Simpson coming in there and working with him, I think could probably be beneficial for him moving forward. Again, he's a 6-year, kid, almost like the Van Wilder of college football, a la Scott Patchen, another University of Miami who's out at Colorado State right now. But, I think Zach McLeod might be someone who's going to be intriguing to watch this season.
One last thing for you guys. It's difficult to get information out of camp. It's difficult to know exactly. Of course, the players and coaches are going to say all the right things for the most part, but you do get to see some video. You do get out there, media credentials, once a week or whatever. So you do get some information to come out. So Derek, I'll start with you in regards to, do you feel better about this team than you did 3 weeks ago before camp started? Is there some information that's come out that makes you feel better or makes you not feel as good about this team?
Well, going back to 2019, finishing 6-7, and then last year going 8-3, and then kind of seeing what we're at and who we have returning for the 2021 season, I'm very excited about it. You can do, they do have some videos that are posted. The offense seems like it's clicking again. It all revolves around Derek King. You watch him throwing the ball to Charleston Rambo, Mike Harley, Keyshawn Smith. You see the gaps that the running backs are hitting. I'm excited. I think the offense is going to be explosive, and like Ross touched on, Rhett Lashley in year 2. I think he's going to open up the bag. I wouldn't be surprised if you see multi, back sets. Maybe throwing, like a night in and a speed guy in the backfield. Again, this is the time to open up your playbook, especially going against Alabama.
I'll ask you the same thing, Ross, in regards to not just training camp, but the entire off season. What's set well with you, or not?
There was one thing that really stood out to me last year, and it was the deep pass game. And unfortunately for us, it was a negative consistently. One thing I've heard this offseason is they're truly working on Derek King's touch passes, and a lot of that has to do with velocity downfield. I noticed the ball coming out of his hands completely different than it did while he was at Houston. When you look at his Houston deep passes, he's got a little bit more of a Russell Wilson type of the big high arcing and nose down. He was throwing it a little bit more on a line drive while he was here this last year, and it was causing some issues. We had a lot of overthrows in that aspect. Now, don't get me wrong, the wide receivers didn't help all the time, that's for sure. But getting that deep pass game going is utterly important in the Lashley offense. And I want to make a point about it, especially is we saw what the Lashley offense looks like when the deep pass game is going. We saw it in the second half against Oklahoma State when N'Kosi Perry came in, and he actually started hitting a couple deep shots. And even with the wide receivers not connecting on all of them, just the mere threat of having a deep threat or a deep ball be connected opened up all kinds of lanes for Cam Harris, all kinds of stuff, and we saw him really at his best. So that's what I'm really looking forward to this year is seeing De'Aaron King get that touch back on his passes.
All right, folks. Again, we got Derek, we got Ross. Follow them on Twitter. Follow them on their other podcasts. And we are so happy and amped and hyped to have you guys hosting our post game along with Jordan Nelson after all the Miami games. So appreciate you guys for what you do. I know it's going to be amazing content that you guys are going to provide. They're going to be engaging with all of you, answering your comments and questions after all the ball games. All right, guys. Appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it, man.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Derek and Ross, along with Jordan Nelson, hosting our post-game coverage here of Miami football, starting with the big game against Alabama in Atlanta. All right, I am going to head out. Appreciate everybody being here. And, of course, lock it in. We've got live streams just about every day and new content here on the Voice of College Football. Next live stream is Oklahoma, 2:30 Eastern on the Oklahoma channel. And we will see you all then.